the first shell in front of us and going to stop.
تاريخ 30/6/2017. هذه طروادة. هذا الحصان جانا بعد شوي. هذه آثار طروادة.
But they did not find anything interesting, anything valuable. And this year they're going to excavate somewhere behind of the trees over there. And this is the big marketplace of Troy in that time. But as you see, we have a forest, and hereby yearly excavations continue. But if you look at the signboard, we have roughly idea about the appearance of the city of Troy. This is how it actually looked like in 12th century BC. Remember, this is the time of the War of Troy happened. And this is the towers. You see what left from the towers. Bottom is stone and upper part was mud brick, and by using mud brick you could make a bigger tower. During the war, just you construct the main tower, and during the war, in order to give fear to the enemy, you can make by clay, you can use it by clay, higher towers. And during the wars, they just changed it. People, they were all imagining them. And here is the stones which bring luck to the city, which is holy stones. Everywhere you see this, in China, in Japan, in Troy, in America, in Latin America, they put some sign, something which protects the cities from the which defend the cities from the bad spirits or bad luck. Even today you have it. You put icons, you put crosses on your houses. In Islamic world, they put some praise over on the doors. Still continue. This tradition still continue. At drainage, and old drainage, the wastewater was from the rain. So we go to that direction and visit a structure. After pictures, continue. Ladies and gentlemen, this one is the audience, a small form of a theater. Normally, theater forms are big, but this one is the small form of a theater. It's the audience. This is for 800 people. That's for meeting, gathering, celebrations, commemorations, wedding ceremonies, for any. This is the place for entertainment of the people. And before winter, before summer, before war, after war, in the important days, they had celebrations, commemorations, especially in the audience. Normally theaters are big. The small forms are called audience, and the word audience is still, today we still use it in English, in German, in Latin. So the big forms are the theaters. For instance, Troy had a theater, and this somewhere away, but it's still under the earth. The biggest theater of the Western Anatolia is the Greek theater of Pergamon. For 10,000, it has 10,000 capacity. Another one is the 35,000 capacity Ephesus theater. And another one is Assos, an ancient city only 90 kilometers away from here, with 4,000 capacity. Another one is 1,500 people on the Lesbos island in Mediterranean. 1,500 people capacity theater. So they paid importance, they paid attention for this. or for the theater. It's an important place for the civilization. If you do not entertain your people, there can be a riot, there can be an uprising, and that's very bad for the commanders and especially the aristocratic family, or the leading family. Hadrianus, very important Roman emperor. In this trip, you can forget everything, but you won't forget this man, very important man. Hadrian, or you call it Hadrianus, Greeks call it Adriano. In Latin, the Adriano, Adriana. The father of the names is the Adrianus. Also, ruled Roman Empire roughly 22 years, I think, between 117 AD, 138 AD. And when he was a mature man, he visited the city of Troy in 122 AD. And traveled all around Europe. Hadrian's Gate, Hadrian's Wall, and he visited the city of Troy, and this colossal statue, the big statue, like 1.5 meters, was also constructed, was put in front of Troy to be remembered. And later, after earthquakes or after many years passed, it was fell down, and it was found under 1 meter on this road. Now in Çanakkale City's Archaeology Museum, statue of Hadrianus or Hadrian, a very important commander, and his father was Trajan, ruled Roman Empire between 98 AD, 117 AD. When he took command, he started to travel, and that's it. But the Odeon was not constructed by him; it was constructed before him, 41 AD. It was roughly before his father. Augustus, in Turkish we say Augustus Octavianus. Augustus Octavianus gave all the construction of the Odeon and a Roman bath. Let's go to the Roman bath. Where are you from?
Kuwait.
Kuwait.
Yeah.
I will go.
Please go. You're welcome.
Some countries I haven't visited yet, but I will go.
You are very
Qatar,
welcome.
Kuwait, Dubai.
You are welcome. هذا حمام الرومي.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you wish, you can stand under the shade. If you wish for pictures, you can make a circle in the bath. I'm waiting for you at the end. You can do a photograph. If you like, you can stay there. If you like, you can stand over there. So we see Trojans, Greek and Roman times, and the walls over there also Greek. So we see 3 different cultures, traces: Trojan, Greek wall, Roman marble. They all added something. And here you see the picture how actually the sacrificial altar looked like, and the vessels. The vessels you also archaeologists did not find any bones belong to the human. So the humans were not sacrificed. In many places of the world, humans were sacrificed. Only the animal bones were found, and only the animals were sacrificed. From the history, Xerxes in 480 BC, ladies and gentlemen, 480 BC Xerxes, he, according to ancient history, he sacrificed more than 1,000 cattle before fighting against the Greeks. He wanted to make gods happy. He wanted to make God's pleasure before fighting against the Greeks. So the many other warriors came and gave some sacrifices. Very important. And after we pass that big group, large group, we go under that tree and we have a look at the fertile land of Troy. and where the Trojan horse was moved inside. We have this multi cosmopolitan tourist. Kuwait, US, Australia, New Zealand, America,
New Zealand,
New
not
Zealand.
Australia.
Australia. And you?
Big mistake.
Ladies and gentlemen, palace house, unfortunately nothing left. I don't want to lose much time here. On the signboard you can see the plan of the palace house, and on the picture the bottom is a stone, upper part was mud brick, constructed stone and mud brick again. Kings, they had many children, and they had the dynasty of their country, and they used to live in a specific area, and they used to go to wars as war commanders. That's one. And two, when they have guests, they also stay here, and they had many wives because they were strong. In that time, there were no modern world rules, and they had many children, like Greek kings, like kings in India or Far East Asia. In that time, the powerful man get more women. That's the rule of the caveman. So this is the palace house. After the war, nothing left. It was used as a store. The Greeks plundered, the Greeks looted the city, but later it was just used as a store. Archaeologists found there some arrowheads. That's it. Nothing special. No gold. No nothing. Probably they were also ransacked and plundered. And an example, just leave aside the palace house. Calcium carbonate, limestone, and granite stone. This you can see this in all aging coasts, in island roads, Lesbos, in Greece, in Chalkidiki Peninsula, in Olympia, in all western coast of Turkey. You see these stones all around, even in the Gallipoli Peninsula at the shore. This is the limestone, calcium carbonate, not very strong. Sorry, here. But Trojans used also the granite. The granite is very strong stone. It was taken from 30 kilometers away from here, the stone sources. These stones, they were all moved somewhere far away, roughly 40 kilometers. The location is called Meandria. Let's have a look at this part, left hand side. Let's come under this tree. Ladies and gentlemen, if you look at the horizon, you see the Tenedos Island. The Tenedos. Today it's 4 kilometers away from it, roughly 3 nautical miles. A nautical mile is 1,852 meters. 1,852 meters long. So it's roughly 3 nautical miles and 4.5 kilometers from the shore, not from here. From here to shore, there's another 6 kilometers roughly. So that island was used as a place to hit the ships of the Achaeans. What you experts claim that. So the Achaeans, after sieging the city, meanwhile don't mix these two things up, please. Achaeans and Greek things are same. Trojans, Anatolian civilizations, we don't call them Turks, however Troy is in Turkey. And Achaeans, we don't call them Greeks because Achaeans, it was a civilization, very big, the great father of Greece. The Achaeans, Aka in Turkish. The Achaeans, they hid their ships behind of that island. There were 14 bays around that island. 14 bays around that island. And today is very well known, wine production. However, it's a Muslim country. There's a very perfect wine is produced over there. And they got, these ones have prizes in Europe. They got prizes, they got medals. Red wine and white wine and rose wine produced, they make it. And that island, ancient name is Tenedos, modern name is Bozcaada in Turkish. Bozcaada. And you see the peak, the highest point is 192 meters. The highest point, 192 meters. And all around the island is just 36 kilometers. Very small, just 36 kilometers. By car you can visit the island just in a one day trip. And the Achaeans, after hiding their ships over there, after construction of the wooden horse, they gave the impression that they had given up the war, and they left a gigantic wooden horse right in front of the Trojan shores. And when the Trojans saw that the Achaeans already left, and they accosted the horse, and they had looked at the horse, and they discussed a lot. Some say they had to take the horse inside. Some say no, yes, no, yes, no. Yes, no. They said no, and they said yes. And another story, they also left some guy, like under espionage, like a spy. Sinon had to convince the Trojans, and the Trojan, Laocoon, the Trojan fortune teller. Laocoon said, we shouldn't trust the horse, and he said no. And according to the myth, suddenly the Poseidon, during the Trojan War, the gods also took their places. Some gods were at the side of the Achaeans, some of them were at the side of the Trojans. And Poseidon sent a sea serpent, and Laocoon and his 2 children were killed over there. And Laocoon couldn't claim anymore, and he was a dead man. And later, the Trojans were also supported the idea taking the horse inside because they were already bored inside. And the Sinon convinced them very, very well. A cunning man, an intelligent man. Just imagine like a James Bond of the Greek army in that time. Similar like this, or Richard Sorge. So he said, like, if you do not take the horse, the Greeks constructed this horse for the vote as a votive offering to gods and goddesses. If you do not take it, the Athena, the wisdom goddess and knowledge, she will be angry with you. And they constructed the wooden horse a little bit higher than the city gates of Troy. And Athena will be angry. You even couldn't take the horse inside the city gates. And later the Trojans destroyed this, broke some part of the gate, and they took the wooden horse inside. They took the wooden horse inside. And you know what? And after some time, when the volunteer men inside, think it as a military operation, they came out of the horse and they gave a signal to the island, and the rest of the fleet came back while Trojans having victory celebrations. And imagine during the war, Troy also they cut communication off with the surrounding the neighbor cities. And Trojans were already worried about this, and they couldn't harvest their land properly. They couldn't work properly. Even today, if your country enters the war, education stops. Progress stops because you are in the war. In that time, same. Everything stops: hunting, harvesting, and trade. You are in the war. You cannot say trade ships. You cannot send anywhere. Just like today, economically, politically, everything, even your currency changes if you are in the war, and in that time, same. And during the war, Trojans also had coins. And these coins in Anatolia, they were just like an American dollar. Just like an American dollar. Can you tell me a country you cannot use American dollar? Or can you tell me a country you cannot use euro or Australian dollars? Can you tell me? But I can tell you many countries you cannot use Turkish lira. I can tell you many countries you cannot use Turkish lira, or you cannot use the Bangladesh taka. So in that time and during the war, none of the countries around, none of the civilizations did not, none of them accepted the Trojan coins, because we don't know, you can be collapse, and they didn't accept their coins. Imagine. So exactly same things are lived, but in different ways today. same things. For Syria, you cannot use Syrian money. And after the military coup in Turkey, the exchange rates gone, and Turkish lira was similar in Troy. It happened during the war, and that was the truth. And the Greeks, even today, there's a saying. They say, "Don't beware Greeks bearing gifts. Stay away from the Greeks if they will ask something." But it's not actually. It was said for the Greeks, but it was same everywhere in the world. No one gives anything free to you. Similar thing. The horse was left, and Troy collapsed. Right behind of you, you see the ramp gate. In brief, I will tell it, and we will go to that shape and have a look at the signboard over there. The ramp gate was used during the peacetime and during the wartime, ladies and gentlemen. There were many ramp gates. Ramp gates were used in the peacetime for leading the aristocratic residents and rich men. In the wartime, it was used as a fortification gate. And Heinrich Schliemann in 1871, 2 and 3 came Troy and excavated city of Troy. And it took him 8 hours on horseback from city of Çanakkale to Troy. 8 hours to city of Çanakkale, Troy.
Geri dönmek mantıksız değil mi çocuklar?
8 hours from Çanakkale to city of Troy, and we took half an hour. Imagine. And he had to dig many places, and he found the treasures of the 2500 BC. Even the treasure dates back before the King Prime. And he found it over there. We learn it from this from his diaries, and we have a short look at the signboard over there. And we go to the shade. Please, after pictures signboard, we see some part of the treasure was seen, and we go to that direction. Let's go. By the way, there was a port of Troy located in that direction.
هذه الطوفة. هذا الأمر. طروادة. الحين إن شاء الله بنصعدها. هذا بناه سنة 1947. طلع بعد شوي عقب ما نطلع نبي نلحق قبل الزحمة. بسم الله. أنا وين واحد يأذينا من جدة. Mind your head this low. هذا حصان طروادة. الدور الثاني صعدنا. صحت الرواية تخيل هذا طروادة دخلوا عليهم. هذه النزلة. وقت ما حفر شليمن كانت الأرض إلى هذه المظلة، من الأرض إلى المظلة تقريبا 20 متر. هذه الصورة من المكان من برج طروادة شلون نازل مدينة تبين مزارع هناك. يقولون أول معهد مات من اليوم.